Welcome to World Conflicts, where history's deadliest moments are reborn, where nations rise and empires fall, and the echoes of war still shape our world. Here, we uncover the hidden stories behind the greatest battles, the weapons that changed history, and the men and women who defined an era of chaos and courage. This is not just history. This is power. This is the story of us. Welcome to World Conflicts. September 8, 1944, Chiswick, West London, 6:43 p.m. The street is quiet, almost peaceful. Sapper Bernard Browning checks his watch. He's on leave. There's a girl waiting. No air raid sirens. No bombers overhead, just the fading light of an autumn evening. Then the world ends. Not with warning, not with the drone of engines or the wail of alarms, just an explosion that carves a crater 20 feet wide into Staveley Road. 11 houses vanish, 27 more shatter. The blast kills 3 people instantly, including Browning, who will never reach that train station. What killed them traveled faster than sound, faster than any aircraft humanity had ever built. It crossed 200 miles in 5 minutes, falling from the edge of space itself. And the people of London never heard it coming until after it struck. This was the V2, the world's first ballistic missile, the first human-made object to touch space. And it was only the beginning. The question isn't whether Nazi Germany developed revolutionary weapons in World War II. They did. The question is darker, more unsettling. What if they had succeeded? What if 3 critical programs, a ballistic missile perfected earlier, a jet fighter deployed in sufficient numbers, or an atomic bomb completed before America had changed the trajectory of history? These are the weapons that could have rewritten everything. Weapon number 1, the V2 rocket, Vengeance from Space. October 3, 1942, Peenemünde Army Research Center, Baltic Coast. The rocket stands painted in black and white stripes, 46 feet tall, weighing 13 tons. It looks like something from the distant future, impossibly sleek, mounted vertically against the gray northern sky. At 4:17 p.m., General Dornberger gives the signal. The siren wails. The engine ignites. The world's first ballistic missile lifts into the air, climbing to an unprecedented 56 miles, higher than any aircraft, higher than the atmosphere itself. It arcs over the Baltic Sea and crashes precisely where predicted, miles away. Around the test site, SS officers and Army personnel erupt in celebration. That night, half drunk on schnapps and triumph, Dornberger raises his glass. He declares, "This afternoon the spaceship was born." But he's thinking about something else, something darker. This isn't just about space. It's about revenge, about unleashing terror on an enemy that has been bombing German cities to rubble, about giving Adolf Hitler a weapon that could change everything. The V2, Vergeltungsarm II, or Vengeance Weapon 2, would become the predecessor to every intercontinental ballistic missile, every space rocket, every launch vehicle that would follow. It was powered by liquid oxygen and a mixture of alcohol and water, burned in a combustion chamber that generated 60,000 pounds of thrust. When launched, the motor would burn for 60 to 70 seconds, propelling the V2 to a maximum height of 50 miles. After that, it continued in a ballistic trajectory, falling back to Earth at nearly 2,000 miles per hour. The warhead contained 1 ton of high explosives, and there was no defense against it. Unlike the earlier V1 flying bombs, the buzz bombs that pilots could shoot down, the V2 traveled faster than sound, By the time you heard the rushing noise of its descent, it had already hit. The explosion came first. The sound came after. It was warfare from the future, delivered into 1944. Between September 1944 and March 1945, more than 3,000 V-2 rockets were launched. Most were aimed at London and Antwerp. On November 25, 1944, a V-2 exploded at a Woolworth store in New Cross Road, killing 168 people and seriously injuring 121 more. On March 27, 1945, one of the last strikes hit Hughes Mansions in East London, killing 134 people. In total, the V-2 claimed approximately 5,000 lives. But the human cost extended far beyond the blast zones. At least 10,000 prisoners from the Mittelbauer Dora concentration camp died as forced laborers in the underground metalwork factory where the V-2s were mass-produced. More people died building the V-2 than were killed by it. Yet the strategic impact was minimal. The V-2 was catastrophically inaccurate. It could only be aimed at large urban areas. Many failed during flight or exploded over the countryside. Manufacturing each V-2 cost at least 10 times more than a V-1, and Germany managed to launch only about 3,000 V-2s compared to 22,000 V-1s. American pilot William Liscombe Borden saw a V-2 in flight while returning from a mission over Holland in November 1944. It resembled a meteor, streaming red sparks, whizzing past his aircraft as though it were motionless. He later wrote, "I became convinced that it was only a matter of time until rockets would expose the United States to direct transoceanic attack." He was right. The V-2 didn't change World War II, but it changed the world that came after. When the war ended, Allied powers scrambled to seize the technology. The Americans launched Operation Paperclip, recruiting Werner Braun and over 100 core V-2 personnel. The Soviets captured the manufacturing facilities and re-established production. Both superpowers used captured V-2 rockets to kickstart their missile programs. By 1957, the Soviet Union used V-2-derived technology to create the R-7, the world's first intercontinental ballistic missile. That same missile launched Sputnik into orbit. Braun, meanwhile, joined NASA and designed the Saturn V rocket that sent humanity to the moon. Every long-range ballistic missile used since 1944 has been built on foundations laid by the V-2. The same technology that killed people in London and Paris in 1944 took astronauts to the moon 25 years later. But here's the terrifying question. What if the V-2 had been ready earlier? What if Nazi Germany had perfected the technology in 1942 instead of 1944? What if they had equipped it with a nuclear warhead instead of conventional explosives? What if they had launched thousands, not hundreds, before the Allies could respond? The V-2 was proof that imagination and engineering could transcend the limits of what seemed possible. It was also proof that genius could serve monstrosity. And it was only the beginning of Germany's technological gambit. Weapon number 2, the Messerschmitt Me-262, the jet that arrived too late. March 18, 1945, the skies over Berlin. The sun rises over London as more than 1,200 Allied bombers and 600 escort fighters assemble for the final great air battle of the European war. Their target, Berlin, the heart of the dying Reich. The Germans know they're coming. At airfields across Germany, pilots climb into aircraft unlike anything the world has seen, the Messerschmitt Me-262. Sleek, fast, powered not by propellers, but twin turbojet engines underslung beneath swept wings. It looks like something from the distant future. Impossibly sleek, mounted vertically against the gray northern sky. At 4:17 p.m., Oberlieutenant Gunther Wegman leads his squadron of Me-262 jets from Jagd Squadron 7 toward the incoming bombers. Flying in loose formation, they accelerate to speeds the Allied pilots have never encountered, 540 miles per hour, 100 miles per hour faster than the fastest Allied fighter. The engagement is brutal and swift. The Me-262s tear into the bomber formations with their four 30mm cannons shredding metal and flesh. Air-to-air rockets streak through the sky for the first time in operational history. Allied bomber crews watch in horror as enemy fighters move so quickly they seem impossible.